Okay, now the final question is question 7. They want you to draw a circuit diagram to show how you should connect the equipment needed to make the measurements needed here. Well, we've got current in the graph, so we would need an ammeter to measure current, and for voltage we're going to need a voltmeter, but how we position them is quite important too. They also mention we've got a filament lamp, so we need some kind of power source. So I'm going to put a battery in here and I'm going to connect it up to filament lamp. Now I also need to have an ammeter to measure the current through it, so I'm going to put that in series with this lamp, and I'm going to put a voltmeter in parallel. Your voltmeter and ammeter must be connected in the correct way, so ammeter always in series and voltmeter always in parallel. Now this is what most people did, and you're missing a key thing, because how are we going to change the current passing through this bulb? We need something to do that, so I'm going to put in here a variable resistor, and that variable resistor is going to change that. You could also have drawn a variable power supply, so essentially the variable resistor is within the power supply or something similar to that, for that extra mark. The resistance the filament lamp changes as the voltage is increased. How can you tell this from the graph? Well, resistance is voltage over current, so therefore if the resistance stays the same, the ratio of the voltage to the current stays the same. Now that's only the case if you've got a straight line. So if I've got the straight line, the voltage and the current ratio is the same at all points, but in this case it's not. So how can I tell this from the graph? It's non-linear. Okay, it's a curve, gradient changes, something along the lines of that. And then the final question on this: explain these changes in resistance. Well, I'm going to look at the mark scheme again here. Okay, now it says explain, so they're very specific. They will not award any marks for a description. Okay, you're not talking about the shape here, you're explaining why that shape changes. Now the first thing is, as you increase the current, the lamp heats up. Okay, so the bigger the current passing through it, the bigger the temperature, the hotter it gets. Now as it gets hotter, you're going to get more vibrations within the metal lattice, and because of that there's a greater chance of electron collisions. And if the electrons are colliding more often as they pass through the conductor, then there's going to be an increase in resistance. There's one mark for each of these things. So anything for saying the lamp gets hotter or its temperature increases, one for saying that increases the chances of collisions for electrons passing through, and the final mark for saying that causes an increase in the resistance of the filament lamp.